Hello and welcome to another episode of Pick 3 DST, where I give you 3 defenses I like and 1 defense I'm fading for Week 5 of the NFL season. Before we get started, we'll use our accountability and check in on how we did in Week number 4. We smashed our stud pick with the Dallas Cowboys, and we hit on our sleeper pick of the Tampa Bay Bucks, who both finished inside of the top 10 last week. However, we missed on our solid call of the Cleveland Browns, and our fade call, the Denver Broncos, were able to slide into the top 10 because of a defensive touchdown, even though they gave up 28 points to the Chicago Bears. So all in all, not a terrible week for week number 4. As a reminder, these are not my full weekly DST rankings. If you want to get those, you can click on the link below. We'll start week 5, as always, with my sleeper defense, which is the Houston Texans. Consensus has them at 17th, but I have them up at 7th in the week. Now, it didn't work out for us in week number 2 when we had the Texans as our sleeper defense, but since then they've scored 14 points and 11 points in the last 2 weeks, so I'm willing to go back to the well here again. And part of that has to do with facing a Falcons team that gives up the 6th most fantasy points to opposing defenses and looks a little bit lost with Desmond Ridder at the helm. On top of that, this Texans defense has actually been pretty solid. They rank 11th in opponent scoring rate, 12th in turnover rate, and 14th in pressure rate. So they're a fringe top 10 defense against a giving offense, which I think will push them into the back half of the top 10 this week. My solid defense of the week is the Dallas Cowboys. Consensus has them at 8, and I have them up at 6th on the week. Now, I know we've been talking about the Cowboys a lot on the show, but I think they're a good lesson this week in valuing a safe floor performance from your defense. The Cowboys have a bad matchup against the 49ers. We all know that. But with bye weeks starting, some leagues you can't really afford to have 2 defenses on your roster, and the Cowboys are a defense that is too talented to drop. Right now, they rank 2nd in opponent scoring rate, 3rd in turnover rate, 5th in sacks, and 7th in yards allowed per play. That's not a defense that you can throw onto the wire. So what we want to do is plug the Dallas Cowboys into our lineup and just kind of hope we get a good floor performance from them. It might not be as alluring as chasing a ceiling game from some mediocre defense who's in a really good matchup, but sometimes that safety and security is the most important thing. So I think the Dallas Cowboys are going to be a playable defense for you this week, and maybe we just hope they get 6 or 7 points, and like the Bills last week against the Dolphins, they could surprise us and put up a pretty good scoring day. Now, if you haven't yet, please pause this video, comment below, let me know which defense you're starting in week number 5, or ask me any start-sit questions that you may have, and I'll answer them as the week goes on. Now, my stud defense of the week is the Detroit Lions. Consensus has them 9th, and I have them 3rd on the week. I think that sometimes the Lions defense gets overlooked because they've been a doormat for so many years. However, this defense is actually pretty intriguing. They rank 6th in pressure rate, 6th in sacks, and 10th in opponent scoring rate. Now, they do also rank 22nd in turnover rate, so they're not really turning the ball over a lot. However, I think that pressure rate and sack rate is going to be a huge factor for them this week against a Panthers offense that just really doesn't look that good. Bryce Young may be good in the future, but right now he's still got a ways to go. Miles Sanders was banged up last week and ineffective, and Chuba Hubbard didn't really look that much better when getting sprinkled in with him. And this is a Carolina offense that gives up the 7th most points to opposing fantasy defenses. So I think that this Lions defense is going to put pressure on them, and I think the Lions offense is going to score a decent amount against this Panthers defense, and I just don't trust this Panthers offense to be able to put up points to keep up. I think that's when we're going to see some mistakes with Bryce Young and some sacks, and I think the Lions are a pretty good bet for us this week. Now we'll end with the defense I'm fading for this week, and it's the Cincinnati Bengals. Consensus has them at 10th, and I have them down at 23rd. And I think this is a lesson for us that it might be time to stop attacking the Arizona Cardinals offense. The Cardinals offense right now gives up the 28th most fantasy points to opposing defenses at 3.3 points per game. That's fewer points allowed than the Miami Dolphins offense, who we think is one of the best offenses in football. Arizona has given up just 6 sacks on the year. They have just 2 turnovers all year. Josh Dobbs may not be a world beater, but he has the legs to elude sacks, and he's making strong decisions and not turning the ball over. So if an offense is not turning the ball over and not giving up sacks, it's not really a unit that we want to attack, especially with a defense like the Bengals, who rank 16th in turnover rate, 24th in opponent scoring rate, and 24th in pressure rate. I don't really like this Bengals defense, and they're not in as good of a matchup as we think on the surface, so I think I am fading the Bengals in week number 5. That's it for week number 5. Make sure to click that like and subscribe button below to get all our fantasy football content and our regular football coverage at NBC Sports this year. As a reminder, again, you can click the link below to see my full weekly DST rankings and comment with any start-sit questions you might have so I can answer those as the week goes on. I will check you back next week for more Pick 3 DST. Good luck on Sunday.